Before we start, I want to say that only 1% of you are subscribed. Please subscribe because when we reach 1,000 subscribers, I will post a special video for you. In the shadowed corners of a dimly lit room, Garrick Thull received his new mission. The air was thick with the scent of ionized particles, a common feature in the high-security quarters of the Assassin's Guild on Zoltran 9. Across from him, the Guild Master, a hulking figure known only as Vorek, slid a holopad across the table. Your target? Vorek's voice was a low rumble. Is a human, unusual for our contracts. He's been meddling in affairs that don't concern his kind. Garrick Thull picked up the holopad, his 4 eyes scanning the digital dossier. The human's image rotated slowly. Alex Mercer, he read aloud, his voice devoid of inflection. A diplomat, you say? Why is he our concern? Vorek leaned back, the chair groaning under his weight. He's not just any diplomat. He's been a thorn in the side of the Draconis Combine. They suspect him of sabotaging trade agreements, influencing political adversaries. He's more than he appears. Garrick Thull flicked through the dossier, noting Alex's frequented locations and known associates. And why not let the Combine deal with him themselves? Why involve us? There's a bigger game here, Garrick Thull. Vorek paused, ensuring he had the full attention of his best assassin. If Mercer continues unchecked, the balance of power shifts. Our employers want a demonstration, a show of force. You are to be the hand that guides the outcome. I see, Garrick Thull said, closing the dossier. He stood, towering over the table. And the rules of engagement? No collateral damage. Make it precise. Your reputation for efficiency precedes you. Vorek's tone hinted at the non-negotiable nature of this clause. Understood. Garrick Thull turned to leave, then paused. And his last known location? Vorek tapped the holopad, sending a file to Garrick Thull's own device. He was last seen at a diplomatic summit on Neutral Station Kappa 5. He's likely still there, ingratiating himself among the galaxy's elite. As Garrick Thull walked out of the room, his mind ran through multiple strategies. Taking out a high-profile target in such a setting would require careful planning and absolute precision. His ship, the Shadows Crescent, was docked in Bay 3, prepped for immediate departure. Stepping into the ship, he was greeted by his pilot and second-in-command, a wiry Cygnian named Rillick. Where to, boss? Rillick asked, noting the serious expression on Garrick Thull's face. Neutral Station Kappa 5. Prepare for stealth mode. And Rillick, Garrick Thull paused at the cockpit's entrance. Gather intel on this summit. I need layouts, guest lists, security details. Rillick nodded, his fingers dancing across the console. You think this one's going to be trouble? Garrick Thull let out a breath, a rare sign of contemplation. Every target poses a challenge, Rillick. But a human causing this much stir in the Draconis Combine? Yes, I anticipate complications. As the Shadows Crescent slipped silently out of the spaceport, blending into the star-speckled blackness of space, Garrick Thull mulled over the image of Alex Mercer. There was something unsettling about this mission, and it wasn't just the target's unsettling smile that seemed to know more than it should. This human was about to change the course of his career and possibly the balance of power in the galaxy. Neutral Station Kappa 5 was a hub of interstellar activity, where the galaxy's myriad species mingled under the banner of diplomacy and trade. The grand hall of the station buzzed with representatives from across the stars, its vast domed ceiling displaying a live holographic map of known space. Garrick Thull, disguised in the ornate garb of a lesser-known merchant race, scanned the room. His multiple eyes flickered subtly beneath his hood, taking in every detail. Near the grand fountain that marked the center of the hall, he spotted his target, Alex Mercer, who was animatedly conversing with a group of delegates. Rillick, who had entered separately to avoid drawing attention to their association, sidled up to a nearby refreshment table. He tapped his earpiece twice, signaling to Garrick Thull that the audio surveillance was now active. From his vantage point, he could listen in while maintaining a watchful eye on their surroundings. Garrick Thull edged closer to the group, pretending to be engrossed in a digital pamphlet he'd picked up from the information kiosk. Alex's voice was clear and confident, carrying over the hum of interspecies dialogues. And while our physical forms may differ, our core aspirations, peace, prosperity, and progress, are universal, Alex was saying. His demeanor was calm and persuasive, a stark contrast to the more aggressive posturing of some delegates. A chuckle drew Garrickthall's attention to a new figure approaching Alex. The man was tall and broad-shouldered, a human, dressed in the uniform of a senior Earth diplomat. Alex, always the idealist. How do you manage to keep that up in a room full of cynics? Alex turned with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Mark, good to see you. I manage because sometimes words can turn tides without a single shot being fired. Mark clapped Alex on the shoulder, his gaze sweeping the room. Just make sure you're not swimming against the current. Not everyone here is as open-minded as you are. Garrickthall took this opportunity to approach, feigning a slight stumble into Alex's vicinity. Pardon my intrusion, he said in a perfectly modulated tone of embarrassment. I couldn't help overhearing. It's refreshing to find diplomacy still has its champions. Alex assessed the stranger with a quick, discerning look before extending his hand. No harm done. I'm Alex Mercer. And you are? Teller Visk, Garrickthall improvised. A pleasure, Mr. Mercer. I represent the trading coalition from the Rigel sector. Your words resonate with me. Commerce, after all, is just another form of negotiation. Alex's eyes lit up with interest. Indeed, it is. And often, it's through trade that we build the bridges we fail to construct in conferences like this. Mark watched the exchange with a faint smile. Alex here has a way of turning every conversation into a philosophical discourse. But tell me, Teller, what brings your coalition to Kappa 5? Purely economic interests? Mostly, Garrickthall replied, maintaining his facade, but also seeking potential alliances. The universe feels more fragmented these days. The truth of our times, Alex agreed. Perhaps we can discuss our mutual interests further? Tomorrow morning, over coffee? Neutral ground, of course. An excellent proposal, Mr. Mercer. I look forward to it, Garrickthall accepted gracefully. As he walked away, blending back into the crowd, Garrickthall tapped his own communicator. Rillick, are you getting all this? Loud and clear, boss. Seems like you've made a new friend. Rillick's voice crackled with amusement. More like a new opportunity, Garrickthall murmured, watching Alex return to his diplomatic duties. Tomorrow's meeting would be key, not just for the mission, but to understand the true nature of Alex Mercer's threat, or his potential as an unexpected ally in a game that was becoming increasingly complex. The next morning, the cafe on Deck 7 of Neutral Station Kappa 5 offered a panoramic view of the docking bays, where ships from countless civilizations shimmered like jewels against the backdrop of deep space. Garrickthall, still under the guise of Teller Visk, arrived early, choosing a secluded table with a clear view of the entrance. Alex Mercer appeared promptly, his demeanor relaxed but alert, a common trait among diplomats who often navigated treacherous political waters. He spotted Garrickthall and approached with a confident smile. Teller, good to see you this morning, Alex greeted as he sat down, signaling the server for 2 coffees. Likewise, Mr. Mercer. I hope the remainder of your evening was productive, Garrickthall replied, observing Alex's casual ease. It was, thank you. Conversations ran late into the night. It seems many are eager to broker peace, or at least profitable agreements. Alex's eyes held a spark of humor. But let's talk about you and the Rigel sector. What specific outcomes are you hoping to achieve here? Garrickthall took a moment to formulate his response, aligning it with his constructed identity. Our primary goal is stability. Trade can flourish only under predictable conditions. Yet, as you know, the galaxy is anything but predictable these days. Alex nodded, accepting his coffee from the server. True, the fluctuating alliances, the economic sanctions, it's a complex web. How does your coalition handle these challenges? We seek partnerships based on mutual benefit and transparency. It's an old-fashioned approach, but it works. Garrickthall leaned forward, projecting sincerity. And speaking of partnerships, your reputation precedes you, Alex. Your efforts in diplomacy are well noted. How do you manage to maintain neutrality in your negotiations? It's all about understanding the underlying needs, Teller. Every species, every planet has its unique pressures and priorities. If you can align those, or at least respect them, you've got the foundation for lasting peace. Alex's explanation was tinged with passion, revealing his deep commitment to his role. Respect, Garrick Thole repeated thoughtfully. A simple concept, yet so powerful. Yes, and unfortunately, it's often overlooked. Alex sipped his coffee, his gaze thoughtful. Tell her, I've found that sometimes, it's not the economic or military power that shapes the galaxy, but relationships. Trust. It's what I try to build. That's a rare approach, Garrick Thole admitted, his intrigue about Alex deepening. In my experience, trust is often seen as a vulnerability. Perhaps, but it's also a strength, Alex countered. Tell me, have you ever encountered situations where your traditional methods of commerce were challenged by deeper cultural misunderstandings? Frequently, Garrick Thole answered honestly, realizing that their conversation was veering into dangerously genuine territory. Navigating those misunderstandings without causing offense requires a delicate touch. Exactly. Alex seemed pleased with the response. And it's that delicate touch that I believe we could use more of, not just in trade but in all forms of interstellar interaction. Their conversation continued, delving into specific diplomatic strategies and historical precedents of trade agreements that had either faltered or succeeded due to cultural sensitivities. Garrick Thole found himself respecting Alex's insights and expertise, noting the diplomat's ability to engage on various topics with an impressive depth of knowledge. As they wrapped up their meeting, Alex extended an invitation. Tell her, I'm hosting a small gathering tonight in the ambassador's suite. A few key players will be there, discussing future collaborations. I'd like you to join us. It could be beneficial for your coalition. Garrick Thole accepted, intrigued not only by the networking opportunity, but also by the chance to observe Alex in a more informal setting. Thank you, Alex. I'll be there. They parted ways, with Garrick Thole feeling an unexpected sense of anticipation. Tonight would be critical, not just for his mission, but perhaps also for his understanding of what made Alex Mercer a truly formidable human. The ambassador's suite on Neutral Station Kappa 5 was arranged to foster an ambience of ease and openness. Soft music permeated the air as a variety of delegates mingled, their conversations a blend of light-hearted banter and serious discourse. Alex Mercer was a gracious host, effortlessly moving through the room, ensuring every guest felt welcomed and engaged. Garrick Thole, under his alias of Tellitor Visk, observed the interactions with a keen eye, noting alliances and tensions alike. As he mingled, he carefully navigated the crowd, positioning himself near a group that included Alex and a few high-ranking officials from various planets. Tellitor, glad you could make it, Alex greeted him, handing him a glass of a popular galactic beverage. I think you'll find tonight's discussion quite enlightening. Thank you, Alex. I'm looking forward to gaining deeper insights into your projects, Garrick Thole replied, accepting the drink. Alex nodded and turned to introduce Garrick Thole to the group. Everyone, this is Tellitor Visk from the Rigel sector. He brings a wealth of knowledge about interstellar trade and economic diplomacy. The group welcomed him with polite nods and curious glances. One of the delegates, a stern-looking man named Chancellor Vorin from the Talmoral Confederacy, addressed Garrick Thole directly. Mr. Visk, your sector has been quite stable compared to others. What's your secret? Our approach is to prioritize long-term relationships over short-term gains, Garrick Thole explained, sticking to his cover story. Building trust, even in small increments, can yield substantial dividends down the line. Alex interjected, That's a philosophy I deeply respect. Tell her, perhaps you could share some thoughts on how this approach could be applied more broadly in galactic affairs. Garrick Thole took a moment to collect his thoughts before speaking. Certainly. For instance, consider trade agreements that are inclusive of cultural practices and traditions. When these are respected, the parties involved feel valued beyond the mere economic benefits. This can lead to stronger, more resilient alliances. The group listened intently, and a lively discussion ensued about various diplomatic strategies that incorporated cultural respect into their frameworks. Alex, ever the facilitator, guided the conversation with ease, allowing each delegate to contribute their perspective. As the evening progressed, The discussion shifted toward more personal stories of diplomacy and negotiation. Alex shared several anecdotes from his career, each illustrating the complexities and triumphs of his work. Every negotiation teaches me something new about the diversity and richness of our galaxy, Alex said, his voice tinged with sincerity. It's not just about forming alliances, but about understanding the very fabric of our societies. Garrick Thole found himself increasingly drawn into the conversation, impressed by Alex's ability to articulate such a nuanced understanding of interstellar relations. The evening was turning out to be more than just a reconnaissance mission. It was providing him with a deeper understanding of his target's ideals and motivations. As the gathering began to wind down, Alex approached Garrick Thole privately. "Tell her, I've really enjoyed our discussions tonight. You have a keen mind for diplomacy. Would you be interested in consulting on a few projects I have in mind?" Surprised by the offer, Garrick Thole weighed his response carefully. Engaging further with Alex could provide valuable insights, but it also meant diving deeper into a potentially compromising commitment. "I'm honored, Alex. Let's discuss this further. I believe there's much we can achieve together." Alex smiled, pleased. "Excellent. I'll send you some details, and we can go from there." As Garrick Thole left the suite, he reflected on the evening's exchanges. His mission parameters were clear, but for the first time, he questioned the straightforward nature of his assignment. Alex Mercer was not just a diplomat. He was a visionary, perhaps one that held the key to more than just political stability. The complexities of this mission were unfolding in ways Garrick Thole had not anticipated. The following day, Garrick Thole, still under the guise of Teller Visk, arranged to meet Alex at a quiet cafe nestled in one of the less frequented sections of Neutral Station Kappa 5. The location was chosen for its privacy, critical for the conversation Garrick Thole intended to initiate, a conversation that would undoubtedly alter the course of their growing relationship. Alex arrived, his usual composed self, though he carried an air of curiosity, likely spurred by the abrupt request for a meeting. "Tell her, what's on your mind? You seemed quite serious over the comm link." Garrick Thole took a deep breath, a human gesture he'd adopted for occasions that demanded a dramatic flair. "Alex, I've been straightforward with you about my background and my intentions, at least within the limits of diplomacy. But there's more you should know, especially if we are to continue our discussions on deeper cooperation." Alex's expression turned cautious. "I'm listening." Garrick Thole leaned forward, his voice low. "What I'm about to tell you could put both of us in danger, but I believe it's necessary for there to be complete transparency between us." He paused, gauging Alex's reaction before continuing. "I am not merely a representative of the Rigel sector. I am, in fact, an operative involved in sensitive assignments that extend beyond simple trade negotiations." Alex studied Garrick Thole, his eyes narrowing slightly, not with fear, but with a sharpened interest. "Go on." "I am what you might call an assassin, employed by entities that prefer to remain in the shadows. My mission was to observe and, if deemed necessary, to eliminate threats to certain power structures within the galaxy," Garrick Thole confessed, watching closely for any sign of panic or anger. To his surprise, Alex merely nodded slowly, absorbing the information with an unsettling calm. "And am I to understand that I am one of these perceived threats?" "Yes," Garrick Thole admitted. "But having spent this time with you, having witnessed your genuine efforts for peace and stability, I find myself in a moral quandary." Alex leaned back, processing the revelation. "This is a lot to take in, Teller, or whoever you really are. You're telling me that your initial approach, our meetings, were all part of an assignment to potentially end my life." Garrick Thole nodded solemnly. "That was the original intent. However, I no longer wish to fulfill that mission. I believe you are not the threat they perceive you to be. In fact, I think you might be the key to true change in the galaxy." A tense silence fell between them, broken only by the distant hum of the station's life support systems. Finally, Alex spoke, his voice steady. "What do you propose we do now?" "I propose an alliance, not of trade or politics, but one of truth. Together, we can expose the entities that seek to manipulate the galaxy's fate from the shadows. Your vision for peace is profound, and it should not be stifled by hidden agendas." Alex considered this, his decision clearly weighing heavily on him. And what of your safety and mine? If you turn against your employers, you turn against powerful forces. I am aware of the risks, Garrickthal said, but I am prepared to face them, provided you are willing to stand with me in this. Alex extended his hand, a gesture of agreement and respect. Then we have a partnership, Tellier. Let's bring some light to these shadows. As they shook hands, Garrickthal felt a weight lift from his shoulders, replaced by a burgeoning sense of purpose. Together, they would navigate the perilous waters of galactic intrigue, not as diplomat and assassin, but as allies in pursuit of a greater good. The path forward would be fraught with danger, but for the first time, Garrickthal believed the risks were worth the promise of a better future. In the subdued lighting of a discreetly located safe house on the edge of Neutral Station Kappa 5, Alex Mercer and Garrickthal met to strategize their next steps. The room was sparse, functional, equipped with communication scramblers and surveillance countermeasures to ensure their discussions remained confidential. Alex opened the meeting, laying out a digital map of the galaxy on the holographic projector. We need to approach this carefully. Your former employers will be watching for any signs of betrayal. Garrickthal nodded, his gaze fixed on the sectors controlled by his former handlers. They're not just watching me. They'll be monitoring anyone associated with me. We'll need to be cautious with our communications. Which brings us to our first order of business, Alex continued, zooming in on a cluster of systems. Information. We need more of it. Specifically, we need to know who else might be involved in this conspiracy and how deep it goes. Agreed, Garrickthal said. I have a few contacts who operate in the shadows. Information brokers, hackers, those who see and hear everything but are seen and heard by none. I can reach out to them discreetly. Alex considered this for a moment. Make sure anyone you contact can be trusted. We can't afford leaks. Meanwhile, I'll use my diplomatic channels to subtly gather intel. There's a lot of chatter in the corridors of power. It's just a matter of listening in the right places. Garrickthal pulled up a secure communications interface on his device. I'll set up a meeting with one of my contacts. He goes by the code name Spectre. He's discreet and has access to information that could help us understand the breadth of our adversary's network. Set it up. But be careful, Alex cautioned, his tone underscored by the gravity of their situation. The scene shifted to a darker, more industrial part of the station where Garrickthal met with Spectre in an abandoned service corridor, the walls echoing with the distant sounds of machinery. Spectre was a small, wiry figure, his face obscured by a hood. You're playing a dangerous game, Garrickthal, Spectre hissed, his voice modulated to prevent voice recognition. Turning against the guild is not something taken lightly. I'm aware of the risks, Garrickthal replied evenly. But the stakes are higher than personal safety now. I need everything you have on the Draconis Combine's shadow operations. Spectre paused, then produced a small data chip. This is it. Everything from covert financial transactions to unregistered communications. It's all there. What you do with it? Well, that's your peril. Garrickthal took the chip, his multiple eyes narrowing slightly. And the price? Consider it a favor for now. But remember, favors in our line of work are like debts. They always come due. Returning to the safe house, Garrickthal handed the chip to Alex, who uploaded its contents into a secure analysis terminal. They spent hours poring over the data, decoding encrypted files, and cross-referencing intel with known facts. What are we looking at? Alex asked, pointing to a series of communications between high-ranking officials and unknown entities. It looks like they're planning something big. An acquisition of some sort, not of a company, but of a system. A whole star system, Garrickthal deciphered, his voice laced with concern. This is bigger than we thought, Alex muttered, rubbing his forehead. We need to expose this before it goes any further. Together, they formulated a plan to leak the information to the Galactic News Network, ensuring it would be broadcast across multiple sectors simultaneously. It was a risky move, but necessary. As they set their plan into motion, the bond between the former assassin and the diplomat solidified. They were no longer just allies by circumstance but partners in a cause that was shaping up to be the biggest battle of their careers. A battle not fought with weapons, but with information and truth. In the secure confines of their makeshift operations center, Alex Mercer and Garrick Thull watched as the news of the Draconis Combine's covert dealings began to ripple across the galaxy. Screens lined the walls, each tuned to different galactic news networks, all broadcasting the explosive revelations that had just been made public. "Do you think this will be enough to stop them?" Alex asked, his voice tinged with a mixture of hope and concern. "It will slow them down, at least," Garrick Thull responded, analyzing the reactions from various political leaders displayed on the screens. "The real question is how they will retaliate once they trace this back to us. We'll need to be ready for anything," Alex said as he turned to prepare their next steps. He opened a communication channel to his most trusted contacts within the diplomatic corps. "We need to rally support. Ensure that the Combine can't simply brush this under the rug." Garrick Thull nodded, then accessed a secure terminal to contact additional allies in less official capacities. "I'll make sure our back channels are open and protected. We might need to disappear for a while if things heat up." As they set their plans in motion, another figure entered the room. Mark, the senior Earth diplomat Alex had introduced at the initial gathering. His face was grave as he looked between the two men. "I've just come from an emergency session at the Council. The Combine is already pushing back hard, claiming the leaks are falsified." Alex greeted him with a nod. "We expected that. What's the Council's position?" "They're cautious, as always, but with enough pressure, they might move against the Combine. They need proof, undeniable proof that what's been leaked is just the tip of the iceberg," Mark explained, pulling up additional data on a handheld device. Garrick Thull stepped forward, placing a stack of documents on the table. "Then let's give them what they need. This is everything I've gathered on the Combine's network. Names, transactions, all directly linked to their top officials." Mark rifled through the documents, his eyes widening. "This could change everything. If we present this to the Council, it could swing the momentum in our favor." The trio spent the next several hours strategizing, dividing their tasks to gather more support and prepare for the inevitable backlash. Garrick Thull worked to secure their communications and safe houses, while Alex and Mark focused on building a coalition of willing diplomats and officials. As night fell over the station, the gravity of their situation became ever more apparent. They were no longer simply whistleblowers. They were catalysts for a potential shift in galactic power dynamics. The weight of this responsibility was palpable in the room. Finally, with their plans as solid as they could make them, Alex looked to Garrick Thull. "No matter how this ends, I want you to know, I couldn't have done this without you. You've changed a lot since we first met." Garrick Thull offered a rare, small smile. "I could say the same, Alex. It's not often that one finds a cause worth changing for." Mark raised his glass in a toast, a gesture of solidarity among the unlikely allies. "To change, then, and to the hope that it brings." They clinked glasses, each man aware of the battles ahead but united in their commitment to see this through, no matter the cost. As they resumed their work, the station around them buzzed with activity, a stark reminder of the bustling galaxy outside, now watching closely as one of its darkest conspiracies was brought to light. In a Stark room deep within the corridors of the Galactic Council's headquarters, Alex Mercer and Garrick Thull stood side by side, preparing to present their case to the gathered representatives from across the star systems. The air was tense, charged with the potential for monumental change or catastrophic failure. Alex adjusted the data pads in his hands, while Garrick Thull surveyed the room with a critical eye, noting the placement of security and the expressions of key council members. "Are you ready for this?" Alex whispered, his usual calm demeanor slightly shaken by the gravity of the moment. "As ready as we'll ever be," Garrick Thull replied, his voice steady despite the turmoil he felt inside. The chamber doors opened, and they were called forward. The vast, amphitheater-like room was filled with delegates, their attention fixed on the human and the assassin who had dared to challenge one of the most powerful factions in the galaxy. Council President Thaler, a wise and aged Eurythian, addressed them. "You have made serious allegations against the Draconis Combine. Do you have evidence to support your claims?" Alex stepped forward, activating the holo projector to display intercepted communications, financial records, and testimonial evidence. "Members of the Council, what we present today is not just a collection of data. It is proof of a conspiracy that threatens the very fabric of our galactic peace. Garrick Thole then took over, his voice resonating across the chamber. I was once a tool used by those who operate from the shadows, but the time has come to step into the light and reveal the truth. The evidence was damning, each piece corroborating the next. Whispers filled the room, growing louder as the implications of the data became clear. Counselor Vrex, representing the Draconis Combine, stood up, his scales flushing a dark shade of blue in anger. This is a fabrication, an attempt to undermine the stability of our Combine and the galaxy. Garrick Thole faced him directly, unflinching. Is it, Counselor? Or is it that we've finally shone a light on the darkness you've so carefully cultivated? The debate raged on, with Alex and Garrick Thole defending their findings against a barrage of skepticism and outright hostility. Through it all, they stood firm, their alliance unbreakable. As the council deliberated, Alex leaned over to Garrick Thole. No matter the outcome, we've done something important today. Garrick Thole nodded. Yes, we've shown that no one is above scrutiny, not even the most powerful among us. After hours of discussion, President Thaler called the room to order. After reviewing the evidence and considering the arguments, it is the decision of this council to initiate a full investigation into the Draconis Combine's activities. We thank Mr. Mercer and Mr. Visk for their courage and diligence in bringing this matter to our attention. A murmur of approval rippled through the chamber, mixed with pockets of discontent. As they exited the council chambers, Alex and Garrick Thole felt the weight of their actions settling in. They had started a battle that would continue to unfold long after they left the room. Outside, looking out over the cityscape of the capital, Alex turned to Garrick Thole. When a human target terrified the galaxy's deadliest assassin, he mused aloud, recalling the phrase that had started it all. Garrick Thole smiled slightly, the corners of his eyes crinkling. It seems the galaxy's deadliest assassin was not so much terrified as he was enlightened by a human target. Together, they looked out at the stars, aware that the galaxy they knew was changing, and they had been the catalysts. Whatever came next, they faced it not as adversaries, but as allies, united by a shared vision of transparency and justice.